I'm from Missouri. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So I have a special affection and pride for Walt Disney and the mouse. So I was very excited about that. But I'm just curious to know, is there someone from your home state that you feel that way about?
Oh, oh my gosh. Well, I grew up in Minnesota. So I would say that someone I feel that way about it would be, of course, Prince would be the figure that I identify most with, in that sort of revered sort of status that had changed culture.
I love that you said Prince. When you said Minnesota, I'm like, ooh, who is she gonna say? I was not expecting Prince. Yes, Carmenita, get it.
Always Prince. Come on.
Yes, what? Purple Rain? What? Okay.
What?
So in the process of participating in this film, what was the most surprising thing you learned about Mickey Mouse?
Um, uh, as someone who is a scholar, someone who studies popular culture, I guess I'm so surprised by, and this is a broad answer, the enduring presence Mickey Mouse has. I know that is the fact. I talked to individuals about that fact, but in seeing the film and really watching and understanding the progression of this character and really condensed in, an extensive history in under 2 hours, one really feels like sort of the prominence and weight of that character. And so I'm just so surprised and thrilled that time and attention was spent on him and that people are excited to see a film about Mickey, particularly as it is a character who has moved into sort of an icon status, right? We don't see Mickey in feature-length films anymore. And so to know that he still resonates in a variety of ways, and the ways in which he's shifted over time, that is just almost stunning to me.
How Lillian saw Walt in Mickey and she couldn't see Mickey, without seeing Walt after he died. That's so sort of touching and strange that even the person closest to him associated Walt with this character. And really the most thrilling for me was just watching the hand-drawn action of making Mickey Mouse, watching our animators work in 2D, watching the ink and paint team do the inking and painting on old animation cells. It's not really done that often anymore. So just getting to be a witness to that was exciting for us.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be. I remember I attended the 100th anniversary of his birthday, right, with my mom. And I was like, my mom has a different affection and memory for Mickey Mouse than I do. And you know what I mean? Like, she was telling me the first time she saw Mickey Mouse and how it made her feel. And I remember the first time I saw the mouse and how it made me feel. I'm just wondering, when was the first time you saw Mickey? And how did that make you feel? And how has it had a lasting impression on your life as an adult? Because it's one thing for him to have an effect on your life as a child, but it's a very different thing as an adult.
I would completely agree with that statement. I remember seeing Disney shorts and Disney cartoons on television on Sundays in the Wonderful World of Disney. Do you remember this TV show? And
The Wonderful World of Disney every Sunday night. I do.
And that is exactly how I was really exposed, because I had gone to Disney films as a child, saw The Love Bug in the theater, saw some of these other films, but never had the chance to really think about Mickey alone as a character. So I would say that's the first time. And he always seemed to be at the right hand of Walt. Sort of the spokesperson of Walt Disney. And he seemed to be, this really cool critical vehicle through which Walt sort of engaged with everyone. He was wondrous in as much as he was almost more of a symbol than a character. He was in cartoons with Goofy and other folks, but at that point, his personality had really, I would say, stabilized as a character, and he took on an iconic status. By the time you're an adult, you start asking yourself questions. Why this mouse? Why this character? Why has it stayed with me through my whole childhood and into my adulthood? I think that's a question that at least I believe the documentary, starts to take on as viewers start to reflect about what this mouse means to them.
I can't actually remember the first time. I feel like his image has always been imprinted on our brains, but I remember the first time I met Mickey at Disney World when I was 7, and I felt everything, children still feel: joy, happiness, sheer enthusiasm for this mouse human. Not quite sure I even could process what he was at that point.
Right? I don't think any of us can when we're kids. It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
What's going to be his legacy moving into the next 100 years?
That's a really great question. And I couldn't say with certainty because so much has happened in the last 100 years. I imagine, artists will continue to work with Mickey in all the various ways that they've used his imagery for their purposes. I'm sure Disney will continue to rely on Mickey as the emblem for their continuing brand. And I hope that he just continues to resonate with children and stay sort of this symbol of joy for people as they move forward into adulthood and beyond. Just having that sense of childhood is really important to retain. That's a really great question. And I couldn't say with certainty because so much has happened in the last 100 years. I imagine artists will continue to work with Mickey in all the various ways that they've used his imagery for their purposes. I'm sure Disney will continue to rely on Mickey as the emblem for their continuing brand. And I hope that he just continues to resonate with children and stay sort of this symbol of joy for people as they move forward into adulthood and beyond. Just having that sense of childhood is really important to retain.
I think it's trickier now to have him expand out because then it becomes, who does Mickey represent? And in the 50s and 60s, it was middle-brow, middle-class America. But that category, that cultural category, socioeconomic category, that's changed. That's been rendered considerably more complex with different identities that have pushed into middle class and are having an impact on culture formation.
Absolutely. And one last question. I know that you've done Who Do You Think They Are, right? Is there going to be a Who Do You Think You Are Mickey Mouse coming up next?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we sort of did the Rashomon version of how Mickey came to be, and that's probably as good as you're going to get.
It was wonderful to meet you. Thank you for chatting with me today.
You're very welcome. Bye now.